and welcome to episode 24 of Cold Case Christmas 2024. But it's not quite the end yet, because I haven't one, not two, but three bonus episodes for you this year. I had that many cases that I wanted to cover. I thought, look, I'm just going to cover them all. Why should I choose? Why should I choose when I don't have to? So here we are. But there isn't going to be an episode tomorrow because tomorrow is Christmas Day. But there will be an episode the 26th, the 27th, and then the final episode of this season 3 of Cold Case Christmas will be on the 28th of December. So I'm going to take this opportunity to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. And let's get into this heartbreaking case. This is the case of a true evil stepmother. You'd think it was some kind of pantomime, you know, for the season and all. But no, this is very real. Very real. This is the heartbreaking search for justice for Kyron Horman. Kyron Richard Horman was born on September 9th, 2002, to his parents, Kane and Desiree. Kyron's parents divorced because Kane cheated on Desiree with another woman. That woman was Terry Moulton. That woman becomes absolutely key to understanding what happened to Kyron Horman on June the 4th, 2010. Kyron was just 7 years old, last seen at his school, Skyline Elementary, in his hometown of Portland, Oregon. The last person to see him was Terry. Now, that doesn't mean to say, just because she's the last person to see him, that she's the one that's responsible. But in this case, I actually think we are only looking at one person. Well, maybe two. Kane eventually married Terry, and at the time of Kyron's disappearance, they had a little baby daughter between them. Desiree also had a new relationship, and they co-parented. They muddled along. And when you saw them, you know, at the press conference, the four of them standing together, the co-parenting was working. Except it wasn't. Desiree became seriously ill with kidney problems. She gave full-time custody, just temporarily, to Kane until she fully recovered. But Desiree kept in touch with Kyron regularly. Apparently, Kyron was having some behavioural problems, except he wasn't. Desiree knows that now. It was Terry who was putting all of her, I don't know, life's woes or whatever onto Kyron. Kyron was the kid she probably didn't want. See, things weren't going very well in the marriage. According to emails that Terry sent to her friends, police showed her these messages. The emails revealed that Terry had a severe hatred for Kyron. She blamed a lot of their marital problems on Kyron. She just didn't like him. But it seems that she ended up not liking Kane much either, seeing as police unearthed a potential plot that Terry had organised against Kane. But we are getting way ahead of ourselves here. Let's go back to the day when whatever happened, happened. 7-year-old Kyron normally took the school bus, but this day he had to be there early. It was the science fair. So he had his exhibit and he needed to go and set it up. These exhibits were going to be seen by everybody in the entire school. So Terry and Kyron got to Skyline Elementary around 8:15. Now Kyron's teacher, Miss Porter, actually only arrived around 8:25 or so, according to Desiree, but there were administrative staff there. Terry took this photo, iconic photo now, of Kyron beaming at the school. She says that she left Kyron in the school. She walked him up some stairs and she could see him going into his classroom. Except, according to Desiree, you can't see Kyron's classroom from this vantage point where Terry said she dropped him off. And indeed, according to Desiree, several people saw Terry leaving with Kyron. The school bus driver that knew Kyron because she normally drove him to school saw him leaving with Terry. A friend of Kyron saw him leaving with Terry. So where did they go? Well, she said that her little baby daughter was unwell and she went to a couple of pharmacies to get her some medicine. But actually, this little baby had been ill 2 weeks before. She was actually better now. She'd had antibiotics and she was better now. That didn't even fit the most basic facts. But the timeline of Terry that day, it seemed to evolve. Look, if you know my channels, you know that if a timeline doesn't work, then I've got a big problem. And the fact that Terry had to continually work on her timeline is a massive red flag to me. But what's even bigger a red flag is that there was missing time. Alright, cops found out that yes, she did visit 2 different stores. That took us to 10:10 that morning. Then between then and 11:39, there is nothing. We do not know where she was. And her phone appeared to have been off. She claimed that she was driving around rural roads with her baby to soothe her and, get her to sleep. So presumably she was then asleep when Terry checked herself in to the gym 11 miles away at 11:39. And she didn't work out. She had a sore leg, a grazed leg. She said that she dropped a weight on it. No, this is a graze. Like as if you were, I don't know, fighting with someone, or you'd fallen, or you were walking through, I don't know, a forest and you tripped over or something like that. Not that you dropped a weight on your leg. She didn't work out and she didn't stay very long. But what she did do was ensure that lots of people saw her and that she showed people that she didn't even know very well pictures of Kyron on her phone. Yeah, that's what she did. Then, she says she got home at 1:21, logged into Facebook and posted the photos of Kyron at school with his science project. At 3:30, Kyron should have got off the school bus. Kane and Terry went to meet him, but one of those people knew that Kyron wasn't going to get off that school bus. But when he didn't get off the bus, Terry started acting, all concerned and fretting, and her and Kane drove to the school. Found out that he'd been marked absent all of that day. They had the school secretary call 911, and this began the largest missing person search in Oregon's history to that day. It's a day Kyron's family was turned upside down. Press conferences, appeals, rallies, searches like you wouldn't believe. The cops pulled out all the stops. They exhausted every possible lead. And one thing that they didn't do was immediately jump to the family. Yes, of course, they were all interviewed. Everybody was a suspect at first. Desiree and her partner were interviewed. Kane was interviewed. Terry was interviewed. They were asked to take polygraphs. They passed, except Terry. She failed 2 polygraphs. She was due to take a 3rd, but then she decided that she wasn't going to. No. But the police interviewed and cleared everybody, one by one. Everybody who came to that school that day, everybody, teachers, the school bus driver, parents, the kids, everybody. Local sex offenders were interviewed and cleared. All the neighbours between Kyron's home and the school, they were all interviewed and cleared. There was only one person that the police could not clear, and that was Terry. After 10 days of this massive search, the police announced that this was no longer deemed a missing persons investigation. They were now deeming this criminal, a potential murder. And it was in July of that year that a local landscaper, who Terry had previously hired, showed up at the police station and told authorities that 6 months prior to Kyron's disappearance, Terry had offered him money to kill Kane. Kane moved out. Kane started divorce proceedings, took his daughter. These are Kane's words from 2015. They found no clues. They found nothing. All the searches to date that I know of, both private and by the sheriff's office or the search and rescue teams, there's been no piece of evidence forensically linked to our case. So they found nothing. He's not around here. So the question is, where is he? And to this day, we do not know where Terry put Kyron. We know that she possibly had an accomplice, her friend, who was missing from her work. Her phone was at work. Her truck was at work. She wasn't at work for the period that Terry was driving around the rural roads. So, potentially, there are two people who know where Kyron Horman is. According to Desiree, they found blood in the bottom of the truck that Terry was driving that day. So, if they've got all this evidence against Terry, why no arrest? Why no arrest? Well, according to Desiree, it was the debacle that was the Casey Anthony case that stopped the cops in their tracks. They didn't want to be in a position where they took Terry to trial and she got off with it. As far as we all know, there's only one suspect in this case, and that's Terry. It's been 14 long years for Kyron's family, the people who love him, the people who need him home so that they can lay him to rest in a dignified manner. In June, just gone, Desiree spoke to the media and said, "It's very challenging to know that we're here 14 years now. I truly believe that it would have been solved and we would have Kyron home within a week, you know. It's not a stranger that took Kyron. We know what happened, for the most part. So it's a little disappointing we are here 14 years later. I don't want to be here another year, but I say that every year, and the clock still ticks through." It is so sad, so sad. And look, there are so many absolutely fantastic step-parents out there. Both stepdads and stepmoms, so many of them. It's just unfortunate when a kid meets an evil one. And Terry, you are the epitome of the evil stepmother. You know what happened to Kyron that day. You did what happened to Kyron that day. For not speaking, for living your life for the last 14 and a half years as if nothing happened. You are one evil son of a bitch.